Roger Hill, Weathering Heights, VELCO Weather Hazards Forecaster. This weather video driven by 802cars.com, representing 802 Toyota, Twin City Subaru, 802 Honda, all located off of exit 7 on Interstate 89. Couple different impulses here. The first lead impulse, more of a springtime phenomenon, mainly rain. This is Vermont. This is Maine. A little hard to see. You're looking at water vapor imagery. And the second impulse, they're not really connected together quite yet, but they're going to. This is cold enough to produce snow. It's been producing up to 7 inches of snow across parts of the northern plains east of the Rockies. And this is going to drag a cold front, and this cold front is going to mean business eventually. Produce a very strong area of severe weather that'll be extending to the southwest and the Great Lakes. Our main immediate concern is this impulse will work into the region, combined with this impulse, and the two will combine for a wind event that'll happen basically on Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday night, Wednesday evening. Then it blows on out of here. We get a better day on Thursday, and another one, very similar situation to move on in that would affect us along about Friday. So we're currently looking at precipitation types and current weather. We'll change this real quick to wind gusts. And you can see the strongest wind gusts are associated in the back edge of this system. This system is really not a problem. However, aloft, there's some pretty strong winds, but that's only going to affect our mountaintops during the night to night. And that's going to roll on through. It's mainly this second impulse here, with gusts you can see here being recorded, is going to be the problem. So looking at temperature levels. You see how cold it is here, relatively warm. It's a squeeze play. This is what we call the baroclinic zone. And for easier purposes, this is the storm track here with these double impulses and making things a little bit more complex than usual. And you can see the 500 millibar, roughly about 18,000 feet. This is the polar part of the polar vortex leaning on our side of the planet with some pretty cold air that's dominant here. And of course, it's this impulse, this shortwave trough, that's going to be zipping on through the region. Okay, looking at the 6-hourly panels here, you can see where the precipitation is. So this system comes in basically late in the day. This is about 2 o'clock this afternoon. You can see that it's poised to track into Vermont. This is a 6-hour jump now to 8 o'clock this evening. And you can see the red lines, dashed lines here. This is warm enough for rainfall, but a little bit of a mix, kind of a mixed wet snow kind of scenario here. So that's going to be pushing mostly through. And then you note that the precipitation is pretty lame here. We're not looking at very much. Let me go back to that right there. You can see this is valid tomorrow morning at about 12Z, which would be 8 o'clock. And it's lighter, a little heavier to the north. Now, north of a frontal boundary here, this is where there's going to be some nasty snowy weather. Folks up around Montreal, back into Quebec City, you're going to see a lot more in the way of the precip. Let me just run that one more time, and you'll see the... and then it moves on through, and get that pulse of wind, and you note that tight pressure gradient right here. This is valid about 06Z. That would be 2 o'clock in the morning on Thursday. So mainly Wednesday afternoon, late afternoon into the evening is when I think we're going to see that burst of wind. And then that's really going to be about it. I don't see anything major after that. Thursday looks like the winds behave. We get a dry project weather day. And then we have this second impulse. It's a weaker impulse. It's going to be colder with a little bit more snow. And it looks like the wind situation is probably a couple notches lower, but still something we'll have to deal with. And then eventually beyond that, this is through Sunday. We got another little trough of lower pressure and upper level disturbance. This is some mighty cold temperature, I must say, on Sunday. We're talking about 5,100 height thicknesses. That's pretty amazing for this time of year in April. And it's going to trigger some snow showers on Sunday, and then that moves on out. We get into better conditions as we get into Monday and Tuesday of next week before something else begins to interfere with us. But that's the middle part of next week. Okay, we're going to run the winds. These are 6-hour panels. You can see that right here, this is valid 12Z on Wednesday, 8 o'clock in the morning. So we get into 18Z. Notice that the winds tend to drop off. This is going to be the main impulse. So you have kind of a part 1, part 2, and then it starts to pick up here. This is 8 o'clock in the evening, Wednesday evening. 2 o'clock in the morning on Thursday. That would be 8 o'clock in the morning on Thursday, and that's the last of it, and things kind of begin to calm down just a little bit. Still some gusty winds here, maybe, wind gusts a little bit above thresholds on Thursday, but for the most part, this is pretty much long gone and out of here. And this is the progression of the high-resolution forecast ensemble. You can see the precipitation type here. This is valid about 23Z. That would be 6 o'clock this evening. And everything spreads in. A little bit of freezing rain mixed with snow, and then it's out of here, that wintry mix. And it's primarily rain as we get into tomorrow morning. This is valid about 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. This is our frontal boundary. This is where the thunderstorm activity will be probably almost up to this area around Buffalo, and then mainly points south at that point. As I was showing you before, a cold spot here. This is colder air across the northern tier of the U.S. into Canada. Look how warm it is up in the Arctic once again, except east of Greenland, north of Eurasia. Sometimes a picture can paint 1,000 words in this particular model. This is the GFS ensemble stationed on Burlington. You can see rain on the front end. At some point it switches over at the tail end with the cold front, changes over to snow. It's pretty much done at that point in time. And then we do it again, although this is going to be staying more snowy. This is our Friday system. 7-day total QPF. We're talking up around 1.5 to 2 inches. With a little bit more across the St. Lawrence Valley, north of Vermont. Okay, a couple things I want to show you here. This is 850 hectopascals, roughly a little higher than the top of Mount Mansfield. This is our 0-degree isotherm. Anything warmer than this is generally falling as rain. Indeed, that's when this comes in. Anything colder than this, of course, falling as snow. So you can see the dip in temperature here. And we actually stay more on the snow part with that Friday system here, with the temperatures better than, what's that, 6 degrees, negative 6 degrees. Here's our big mild intrusion that's going to happen on Wednesday, and then a sharp cold front with a very good fall in temperature. And you can see we're running a little bit below normal, seasonal normals for this time of year, even at Burlington. And you can see the temperatures pretty cool at night, even in the teens ahead. Illustrates the point well. Look at this, 33 degrees below normal for this time of year. That is huge in Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Alberta. And you can see we're running about 6 degrees below normal. What about 3 days later? Still pretty cold up here. It was feet of air, very cold air coming in east of the Rockies. We're running about 6 degrees below normal, so it gets actually a little bit colder over time. Thanks for watching. Roger Hill, Wuthering Heights.